back in the days of the Dubrovnik Republic, they had production of salt, but not from mines, but from separating seawater from the main body of water, then letting it dry and scooping up the salt after the water has dried. And of course, in the time of salt being, you know, a luxury rather than an everyday spice as we use it today, it, in combination with the huge merchant fleet of the Dubrovnik Republic, it led to a huge amount of income for the Dubrovnik Republic. But today, obviously, the salt fields are not used for mass production because, you know, the amount is too small for today's requirements. It's used more for tourist purposes and visits. Like risotto could be classified as the signature dish from the Dubrovnik area. And if you do have the opportunity, maybe tonight for dinner or something, I would strongly encourage that you try both the oysters, which are very good, very fresh, all locally produced, and black risotto in combination with some wine, also from the area. Proper gourmet delicacy. And when people ask me, you know, for Croatia in general, it would be difficult to find a signature dish because our cuisines are different in the coastal part and the continental part.
Yes.
But this is definitely the signature dish for the Dubrovnik area. Exits on the water and effectively cuts off Dubrovnik from the rest of the Croatian territory after the Bosnian part. So what we did is we built that bridge so you're able to go on the peninsula, cross the bridge and exit back to Croatia after the border, so you don't have to cross the border every time. But when we built the bridge, the Bosnians implemented the tax for all these tourist vehicles. They go into Bosnia because they know most of the tourism in Mostar comes from Dubrovnik. And in order to, let's say, recoup for the losses that they lost because we built the bridge, they lost all the transit traffic going through this area towards Dubrovnik. They implemented this tax, and now every time we go to Bosnia, we have to fill out these forms. And for buses, it makes sense because buses they have this coefficient which multiplies with the amount of miles crossed and the amount of people that you have in the car or bus. When it's a bus, it makes sense because you have 40, 50 something people. When that multiplies, that adds up to some amount, which makes sense to be paid. For these small cars, we have to wait and go through all of these forms and BS to pay €1 in the end because we have only 2 people in the car. But if you don't do the forms, they can issue a ticket of, you know, I don't know, 500,000 euros, doesn't matter how much.
I know. It costs them more for the paperwork than the tax they collect.
It does, yes. And especially for small cars like this one. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Usually it goes a bit smoother, but we came in with a couple of bus drivers in there.
Yes,
and most of them didn't speak Croatian. They were from, I don't know, from Netherlands, from Poland, from wherever. that people on a normal middle class level hate each other.
Right.
It's just it's difficult to forget some of the things that were done in the war. People lost immediate family members. They lost fathers, grandfathers, uncles, mothers, grandmothers at some point, depending on where everybody was.
Yes.
And it's not easy to go over some of those things. And myself personally, it's difficult to understand some things that happen in a war, especially if you were not alive at the time. I mean, I was, but I was a young child, so I don't remember anything.
Right.
The border with Montenegro sometimes can be terribly queued up because of Albanian transits, and I'll explain that as well.
Yes.
And Mostar is just a bit easier for me, and the food is better. And Montenegro at times is incredibly crowded because of the tour buses coming from Dubrovnik and cruise ships coming into Kotor. So it can be very crowded. My personal favorite is actually a wine and oyster tour that you do on the peninsula that we saw coming into this area. So we go to a couple of wineries for wine tasting of the local wines in Pelješac Peninsula, and we end up in Mali Stoneway where we saw the walls of the oysters.
Yes.
So we go there for lunch, of local produce of like risotto and oysters that I mentioned this morning.
That sounds delicious. Unfortunately, my husband is not a wine drinker or an oyster eater, so
Yes.
would not be good. But on the other hand, I'm not a beer drinker, so during Oktoberfest, I will be the designated walker.
Well, I'm sure you can find something else other than beer.
I bet. I think you're probably right.
Beer is the traditional drink, but I'm 100% sure you can find other stuff. Because I remember my wife drinking wine. She had a license as well. But I tell you, this is like 17 times better than most of those. And a couple of years ago, the company was thinking about maybe getting one, like a minibus, 20 people.
Yes.
Which is also sort of a bit luxurious because it's not too many people. You can do like groups of, a couple of families and stuff like that. And they said, would you be willing if we bought the bus, would you be willing to drive? And I said, no, even if you fire me, I'm not going back to the bus. And they said, okay, that's understandable. I'm not sure if that influenced their decision, but we didn't buy the bus. Mostar.
There.
Yeah. Out of order. It was mostly used in Yugoslavia, but they do have a lot of, as you can see, a lot of I'm not even sure what the word would be, but you know, larger type sales, you know, like all of these warehouses and everything. This is where you come to buy stuff in bulk, you know, rather than buying it, you know, in smaller quantities.
Right.
A lot of car dealerships around Mostar. Not sure why, but I don't think you can find any brand that is sold here. This is you know, Skoda.
No.
They used to it used to be from Czech Republic, but it was bought out by Volkswagen.
Okay.
It's along with Volkswagen probably the most popular car in the region of the Balkans. People love Mercedes, they love German cars in general, but sometimes Mercedes is not really that affordable.
No.
I drive a Skoda, my private car, and I can be happy. You know, the, how do you say it, the value for money ratio is very good.